What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over my Game of the Year nominee predictions for the Game Awards. We're getting ever so close. I'm getting more and more excited. Not necessarily for this part, if we're being very genuine with each other. And look, when Jeff, in probably just a few weeks' time, when he unleashes the beast, right? When he shows us all the categories, when he shows us all of the nominees, and we get to do the voting thing, which I think is always kind of rigged internally. It is fun. It's something I've actually done videos predicting the winners. I think I've done it 5 or so years in a row. I've predicted the winners to all the categories, so I'm really, really excited to do it. But at the same time, does it mean too much to me? I don't put a lot of stock into which game wins these things at the Game Awards. I know the company does. I know it can sometimes lead to a little bump in sales, so, means something a little bit different to different people. But there was a tweet back on November 1st, just a very simple tweet from good old Jeff Keighley, well, actually through the Game Awards, in which he asked people, which 6 games do you see being nominated for Game of the Year? So I wanted to do this now because, when he talks about the categories and it's the nominees and I do that video, they're already picked. Now, we can, of course, forecast and predict which ones will win, but the nominees are already chosen, right? So right now, I want to predict what will those nominees be. And honestly, I think I've nailed it, okay? I have a good 6 here. I've seen a lot of people echo my 6. I think it's quite obvious. Is there a chance for 1 or 2 things to swap in and out? Yes, and I'll go over that as we go through it. So let me just kind of go through my tweet, which are the 6 games, and we'll talk a little bit about each of them. So I said Expedition 33, Blueprints, Hollow Knight Silksong, Hades 2, Death Stranding 2, and Ghost of Yotei. Now, that I truly believe that's the list. The one I could see changing, okay, and this is exactly which one would change for which one. I could see Ghost of Yotei being swapped with Donkey Kong. That specific swap. I think Donkey Kong, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is another one. If you were to increase this list from 6 to 8, I think Kingdom Come and Donkey Kong, and by the way, let me just throw this in. This is a good time. These are not my Game of the Year. I'm going to have my own actual award show. I've done it a couple of years in a row. Going to be very, very cool this third time around. These are not mine, although actually all of these games are incredibly, incredibly good. But these are not mine. These are what I think they're going to be. And when I pick the winner, I'm picking what I think their winner is going to be, not what my winner is. Okay, I just want to kind of clarify that. But that's kind of how I see it, is those 6. And then Donkey Kong and Kingdom Come, those are those 2 outsider ones that I think, honestly, in any other year, those 2 probably make it. And I could see Ghost being swapped with one of them. Like how the second one gets in, God only knows. Because, okay, let's go through it a little bit, right? Expedition 33, in my opinion, I think is going to win. That's the one that I think just unanimously, it didn't catch me by surprise. Actually, if you watch my videos, we were not caught by surprise, okay, me and that diehard community. I was so looking forward to that game since the second we saw it. And I don't know if we thought it was going to be a Game of the Year type game, but I think we all were ready for it to be quite special, okay? And the people that covered it a little bit more, like me, maybe saw a little bit more in it. I really think Expedition 33 is going to win, so it has to be. There's no chance in hell that Expedition 33 is not in the 6 game list. Blueprints, I really think I really think all of them are locks besides maybe Ghost. Blueprints, I think, is a lock just for, it does things differently. It was a very special game that, again, the common theme between the 2 of them, I think, caught people off guard. This game has been around for a while. People knew of it, but not that many people. And I do think it exploded. I think it just, it did that kind of puzzle solving and moving it into like a different genre. I played it a little, and I highly respect it. It would not be in my top 5, top 6, but it's only because I didn't get too far in it. But I did love it. I really did. And I can see what makes it so special, even just in a short time. So again, no shot in hell that's not on this list. Hollow Knight Silksong, can we keep saying the exact same line? No way it's not there. I've seen a lot of people actually, well, when I say a lot, I have seen like a good number of people, I don't know if it's like the majority of people out there, that have said Hollow Knight is better than Silksong. Now, I love Hollow Knight. I played Silksong for about 5-6 hours. It's another one. I actually have it written down. That's one I want to go back into because I feel like Blueprints is one I can do like years down the line, I feel. Hollow Knight's one that I need to really give it like 20, 30, 40 hours, and I need to do it as quickly as possible, like now, not wait like 3 years from now. So Hollow Knight, again, I don't see how that's not on it. Here's the thing with Hades 2, okay? Now, I actually have Hades 2. I did the early access thing, and I am not an early access person. In fact, I'm pretty anti-early access games, but Hades 1 is just such a special game. It's one of my all-time favorites. Love that game to death. I actually wanted to play again Hades 1 before Hades 2 fully came out. I was not expecting them to kind of stealth drop it because I think that's kind of what they did. They dropped it, I would say, unexpectedly when they did. But the thing with Hades 2, again, if we're talking about, okay, can anything be swapped? Is this all set in stone? I would say Ghost is the one that's definitely like on the line the most. Hades 2 I could also see being on the line the most. Now, I've seen a lot of people say Hades 2 would be their game of the year over Hollow Knight Silksong. And I think that kind of is what gets Hades 2 onto this list, is if Hades 2 is in the same like realm, which I think it should be, by the way. If Hades 2 is close enough to Hollow Knight Silksong, they both make it on the list. The thing is, I've always looked at Hades 2, again, this is that early access bias. Hades 2 has been out, and I understand that it's different now. I understand it's the full game. I understand that it's actually still getting patches and updates nowadays. The game, I don't even think is going to fully be itself until like early next year. I'm actually waiting. I played the early access like 25 hours. I have not played the base version of Hades 2 as of yet, because again, I kind of feel like it's going to, just for a little bit longer, I think it's going to kind of keep evolving. But that's an interesting one to me, because in my head, I don't see it. Is that weird? Maybe it's weird, maybe it's not. You can let me know in the comments. I kind of see Hades 2 as not a 2025 game, because, you know what I mean? Like, it did come out this year, but not really, because it's been out, and they did it pretty, the transition was pretty good between early access and the base game. So I don't know. That's that one to me would be a picky one. Like, I would actually have to question that one, but I don't run the Game Awards. Death Stranding 2, here's the thing. To me, the story of Death Stranding 2 is like multiple, like 10 steps back from the story of Death Stranding 1. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I think the world, I think the movement, I think the gameplay mechanics are so special in 2 that it can really carry it. To me, and I've said this before, to me, I actually look at Death Stranding 1 as my like personal favorite. I can see it. I've seen all the tweets of people that have put in like 200 hours to get the platinum. It's a special game. I'm not denying it's a special game, and I think it's probably just me that's maybe a little bit back on the game than other people. This would, by the way, Death Stranding 2 is easily in my top 10. It's just, I don't know if I would put it in my top 6. The other thing, just to do a little jab, Hideo Kojima, Jeff Keighley. There's, again, this one, beyond, here's the thing, okay, maybe it's a funny joke, maybe it's not so funny. I think Death Stranding 2 has a higher likelihood of being on the nominee list than Expedition 33, simply because of Hideo and Jeff Keighley. There is no way Jeff Keighley is not having the game released by Hideo Kojima be on the list in any given year, right? Whichever year OD comes out, any of these games, right? It's always going to be on the list. So there's no way I think it wins, okay, just to be honest with you. But yet again, you never know because of that relationship. So that one, I think Death Stranding 2 is more locked into the 6th game nominee thing than Blueprints, Expedition, Hollow Knight, or Hades, easily. And then Ghost of Yotei. Like, maybe that's personal bias to me. Like, I would put Ghost of Yotei in my top 6. To be honest, and I don't want to give away mine because, again, I have my own Game of the Year awards, and I'm actually going to do a ranking video of all my games, so I don't want to give away all my secrets. Sword of the Sea is a very special game to me, one of the best games of this year. So I would try to find a spot for that, personally. I would try to find a spot, honestly, for Mafia: The Old Country. I freaking adored. Maybe it's not a top 6 game. Maybe that's a top 10 game. But the year was very strong. It really was. And you could easily make a top 10, probably a top 12 to 14, and load it with incredible games that would probably beat a lot of other years, to be honest with you. So that's just like kind of an aside. But Ghost of Yotei, I do think is one of the best games of the year. Kinda, I don't know, like maybe a more safer kinda, like I think Death Stranding 2 actually was kind of a safer, like yeah, the gameplay was improved, but it was, I played Death Stranding 1 like 3 weeks before Death Stranding 2, and I played Ghost of Tsushima like 2-3 weeks before Ghost of Yotei. Like there's very similar vibes going on there. I feel if Death Stranding 2 makes it, Ghost of Yotei should make it. If the thing you want to argue is like, well, too samey, like they're not too much better than, let's say, the original game, like if that's the arc you want to take or that's the viewpoint, I can understand that. I can actually kind of get behind that, but then I wouldn't have either of them, to be honest. So I think that's kind of another pairing I would have if Hades 2 makes it, Hollow Knight makes it, and vice versa. I kind of look at it that if Death Stranding 2 makes it, Ghost of Yotei should also make it. And so we'll see. We'll see how it ends up shaking out. Remember, a couple other fun facts. I don't think Metroid actually will be able to be nominated because I think it comes out too late. One of those stupid Game Award rules. But another stupid Game Award rule is I actually think Indiana Jones can count for anything in this year, even though it came out squarely in last year. It came out in 2024. I literally think Indy, which is a great game, top 5 game of last year, by the way, it might have been able to squeak into, a top 6, top 10 thing here. But I feel that's the dumbest thing alive. I understand they have to put the show on at a certain time, but to have the cutoffs, like a game that comes out in 2024 should never be nominated for 2025 awards and vice versa. It should not be nominated for 2024. It is ridiculous. It is idiotic, to be honest with you. So that's just an extra thing, though, to throw in. Like Metroid probably doesn't make anything because it just can't. And indie, you might see indie in like these weird categories of like action or story. You might see it in there, even though it doesn't deserve to be there. And I would say it deserves to be there in terms of quality, but not because of when it releases. So technically, indie could be a Game of the Year nominee. There's no way. I think that would be insulting, to be honest with you. It'd be insulting to these 6 games. It would also be insulting to Kingdom Come, to Mafia, to Sword of the Sea, to any other game you can think of that you really, really like, to Donkey Kong, to Mario Kart World, any of them. It would be an insult to all of those games. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.